Hey guys, KUZO here, back with another video, and this video today, I'm going to be exposing Nux Taku. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to be just talking a little bit about my experience working on some thumbnails with Nux and good stuff like that, as well as showing you guys this full process of one of the most recent PNG/thumbnails I've done with him. And it's actually kind of funny, still to this day, I still have people coming to my account, and once I finally actually post one of the drawings I did for the thumbnails, they come to my account and they're like, oh my gosh, I've been following you for so long, but I had no idea that you were the one doing some of these illustration works for some of his thumbnails. But then also at the flip side of it, sometimes Nux would post some of the thumbnails and stuff in his community tab on YouTube, and I would look through the comment section every once in a while. I'll see someone be like, oh, this is KUZO's art, and I'm like, how could they even tell? And in fact, that happened with one of the first illustrations that I did for him. Not the very first one, this was the first thumbnail, which is PewDiePie, Mr. Beast, and KSI, and they were all in different anime costumes, with PewDiePie being in Naruto's, Mr. Beast being in Goku's, and KSI in One Punch Man's. So after that left field thumbnail, I definitely didn't expect anything less from his future ones, and don't worry, he delivered on all of them. And I have to say, one of my favorite thumbnails I did with him was the FMA thumbnail, big green FMA on it, and then his character in two different expressions in Edward's kind of coat and with an auto mail. And yeah, that one was very fun, and I really like how Nux came out in those illustrations, especially like the one with him feeling like crap that's off to the right. I really like that expression. Then we also have the Yu-Gi-Oh thumbnail, where Nux will come up to you and be like, okay, so I want a thumbnail that is my character in a JoJo's pose holding up these three Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I want there to be a big World War III and then a Meguman. Oh, and also some JoJo sound effects. That's not exactly how the conversation went down, but that's pretty close. And, you know, when you hear that, you're like, oh my gosh. And then you just go and try to have some fun bringing the illustration to life. And I think this was the very first image, actually, that I had to copy and paste something in. Pretty much in almost any of my art, because I don't really copy and paste stuff into my art that's not my own art. But when it came to this thumbnail, I had a certain amount of time to get done, and I wanted to make sure that those Yu-Gi-Oh cards didn't look like poo and they needed to be recognizable. But yeah, also for most of you who know my art, you probably haven't really seen cel shading from me before these thumbnails, and that's because some of the early thumbnails that me and him were doing, they had to be done in a very quick amount of time, because when you're doing a YouTube video and then you get an idea for a thumbnail, you're trying to get that YouTube video out like the next day or the day after that. So it was kind of a fast process type of thing, until once you get to a certain point in YouTube, you end up having like all these videos planned and you have videos already ready to go. And so some of the more recent ones haven't had to be in a rush or anything, but some of the early ones, that was very fun, actually, going super fast on some of these thumbnails, and it taught me a few things, and I knew I couldn't do my painting style with it, so I had to go into more of a cel shading style. And to be honest, I wasn't very comfortable with cel shading, but one really cool thing about doing these illustrations with him and trying to do them as fast as I could, I ended up forcing myself to learn how to do cel shading pretty fast, and trying to make it look pretty good for the amount of time I would do it in. And what's really fun about that is I pretty much ended up learning a faster process for even my painting style because of doing these thumbnails. And that's one of those things where you in life, times between a rock and a hard place, you end up finding out new things. You learn faster because you have to do things at a certain pace, and it's all worth it in the end because you learn something very valuable from that experience. And now let's talk about the second JoJo's pose with the Gyarados thumbnail. So I wasn't really afraid about drawing the JoJo's pose because I'm actually pretty decent at drawing poses in general, and that just comes from doing a lot of manga pages. You gotta know your anatomy pretty decently to do relatively good manga, because there's a lot of different angles. But for the Gyarados, I've always had a fear of drawing like Annabelle-esque creatures. So I was like, oh no. So I ended up going to do it in fear that it was going to look like crap. But he ended up turning out pretty decent. I mean, not the best Gyarados you've ever seen, but he doesn't look horrible. But yeah, that was pretty much the time I found out that I'm not actually afraid of drawing animals or anything anymore, because I ended up learning enough about shapes and stuff like that with art and perspective and stuff. So I was able to draw Gyarados pretty decently because of all that fundamentals I ended up learning. But let's talk about the character with the JoJo's pose. So the second JoJo's pose in this Gyarados illustration ended up turning into some Nux Taku memes that I see floating around. And it's very interesting to see something that I drew, even though it's his character, floating around on the internet in these memes. So that was a pretty cool experience seeing develop in front of my eyes. Now to move on to one of the more interesting thumbnails I got. The other ones were very interesting, but this one was left field from everything I had been given prior to that. And this thumbnail is one that I believe has gotten edited now, because Nux might have gone a little bit too far in what he wanted for it. I don't even know if this thumbnail is still up, and actually, I don't even know if I should show it on here. I'll just put some black bars over the spots that are probably not YouTube good. And here you go. Basically, he ended up asking me for one of the most lewd illustrations I've ever done, because I don't necessarily draw lewd stuff. I don't draw lewd stuff, you know, on my free time. Just sitting over here drawing all the adult content I can take in one day, if you know what I'm saying. Wait, what do they call it so it doesn't get caught in the YouTube algorithm? Like Zentai or something? Yeah, so when we were talking about this, it was definitely very fun, because it kind of started progressing more and more like lewdly throughout drawing it, like with the sketch, and then he wanted like the part of a woman body part over a specific other part of the illustration, which wasn't originally like that. So it was very funny moving along with it, and at the end of it he was just like, yeah yeah, that. And then it kind of sucks because the thumbnail ended up being one of the reasons why the video got throttled by YouTube's algorithm, which really sucks, because I had fun with that, and I'm pretty sure he had fun with it. And it was a pretty important video too, which he had told me that it was an important video, so it was important that he wanted the thumbnail to really succeed, and I could feel that with what he was telling me, with what he wanted me to do in the illustration. Because before this one was the most edited one out of all of them. He asked me for a few changes as we went along, and I understood when he told me it's because it was a video that took him a long time. I don't know what the views are on now, or if he re-uploaded it, but I hope it did good compared to what the thumbnail and our overambition did to it. But now we're going to talk about the Nuxtaku waifu PNG that was created. We went ahead and birthed this into reality for you guys. Behold, Nuxtaku waifu that you have probably already seen all around. This one was definitely fun because after doing a couple like chick versions in thumbnails with him, I ended up figuring out a way to make chicks look a little better in a more line art format within a quick amount of time. And I try to use some of that knowledge in this illustration while trying to keep it within a good amount of time of finishing it as well. At the end of the day, I was pretty happy with how the illustration came out. You know, it's not like a Zentai or anything like that. Zentai, YouTube. But yeah, let me know in the comment section how you guys like it. But yeah, for this character, I was pretty much just asked to do a gender bend of his character as pretty much a Twitch thought at the end of the day. So when I got that request, I was like, oh, alright. And I was totally down to do it. But at the end of the day, what was it like working with Nuxtaku on all these illustrations and thumbnails? To be honest, it was all really fun. I had a great experience with him, and I hope he did too. I've never specifically asked him like, hey, what was your experience like working with me? But I mean, he's commissioned quite a few thumbnails and illustrations from me, and it's all been really fun, and when he asks, I'll make one. And just to be clear for all those artists who are wondering, these are commissions, not just free requests. So I know that's something that some of you might be wondering. But yeah, that was my experience with the Meme Lord, and I look forward to it continuing to grow my experience with him. Now to talk a little bit about the illustration in the background that I haven't said a word about. I mentioned in the beginning for a second, but I haven't really talked about what happened, like with all the other ones. So he pretty much just asked me to draw his character flipping off the camera, kind of like a Law thing. I think that's his name from One Piece, and then have meme written on his fingers, as you can see, and then have kind of like the X on the back of Law's hand, which once again, I'm pretty sure it's Law. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, One Piece fans, okay? I've read like 600 or something chapters of the manga, and Law wasn't that big of a deal around that time. Last time I read anything of One Piece was like years ago. That's probably gonna make you hate me more than what I just said if I was wrong. Don't worry guys, I will catch up one day. But yeah, basically he really wanted this illustration to be kind of intense, and I told him I was going to try a different inking style, and I did. I wanted to try like a thicker inking style that looked more painterly when I was done, but also line arty when I was done. So this is one of the ones that actually came out a lot better than I expected, and I was pretty happy with how it came out in the end. I hope you guys like it as well. This is one of the first times in a long time that I've recorded my hand actually painting digitally, and I pretty much only paint digitally. And I hope some of you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, for those of you who really like my arts and want to see a little bit more from me, you guys can go check me out on my Patreon, link in the description. I'd also like to give a big shout out and thanks to my current Patreons. You guys are the best. And big shout out to my Chunin and Jonin tier Patreons. Love you guys. You guys really help everything tick around here in YouTube. And I don't want to forget you guys who watched the video all the way to this point, because that also helps me a lot as well. You guys are also awesome. But in any case, if you guys like this video, please hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new to this channel like you see, please subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified when each video comes out. And like always guys, hope you're having a great day. And I'll see you guys in the next video.